I'm Matt Braunger. This might help.
I am not a doctor.
This might help.
I'm not a professional.
Let's have fun. This honestly is a good time.
Honestly, I got no idea what I'm doing. What's going on? Who are you?
I'm Matt Braunger. This might help. The podcast. Hey, welcome to This Might Help with Matt Braunger, the podcast that gives advice but doesn't mean it. No, I'm kidding. We do give advice, but take it with a tongue really shoved into your cheek. I always say, hire a clinician, talk to someone who's professional if you really need advice. I don't know why I do an advice podcast, but hey, kids, it's a hook. Plus, I get to have funny people on, like my guest, Christian Duguay, who is with me today. A producer, a writer, the creator of, to my mind, what is the funniest written podcast available right now, Valley Heat. Christian, how are you, buddy?
Hey, how are you? How's it going, man? It's only the best one available right now. It's pretty soon. It's going to fall second, third. It's going to drop. I know that I went down about 18 marks in Italy recently. Do you get those? Will you ever get those things from that service that tells you what you're doing in other countries?
I've only done it for my albums, which is very funny. Where it's like, I'm big in this corner of Sweden.
Yeah,
it's always like, it's fascinating. It's not, like say Bruno Mars is probably like, if his dot was blue, the world, it'd be like the world. It's just his blue globe. Yeah. They listen to Bruno Mars everywhere. With mine, it'll be like here, Ireland, England, Canada. Yeah, all the places where people really like speaking English. My act it hits. But I just love it'll be that one dot in somewhere in Sweden or Australia or something. Yeah, it's fascinating.
I only get the other countries because I don't pay them. They go, oh, if you want to know what it is in America, you got to pay. And so it's just other countries like Australia. And I'm always falling. I'm always falling in a country that I wasn't thinking about at all. I didn't even know anyone listened to it there. That's great.
Dude, I was in our first day in Colombia in 2018. My wife and I always go to like someplace for like 10 days to 2 weeks. We turn in all our freaking flyer miles a year ahead of time and go, we're hitting, this time it was Colombia. So we went to Bogota and Cartagena and I'm blanking. I'll get it. But our first stop, I think, was Bogota, and we stayed at this super hipstered out, like kind of guest house where like you have a room and your own bathroom, but there's this main area where the owner just kind of glides in and starts cooking you stuff, and her family comes over. We all watched like a soccer game. Like, it was actually fantastic, and they gave us like jerseys to wear. We're like, oh my god, and her husband comes and sits down and he's like, oh, you're a comedian? I'm like, yeah. He's like, something like, what's your fame rating on like something like, rosestone.com, like something I've never heard of. He's like, oh, everyone's on there. And I was like, wow. I felt like such a rube.
Did you try to find out what you
No, I never even looked it up. I just was like, why do I need that disappointment?
I mean, it would only be a disappointment. And also, I just wouldn't want to know.
No, I don't go. I don't really read. I don't read YouTube comments anymore. I don't.
Oh my god! I know. It's terrible.
There are comics who are so good at all that online stuff, and it's like I try to learn from them, but what I do is so different than what they do, generally speaking. But I'll never forget this dude at the Comedy Store. I won't say who he is, but he makes millions of dollars a year now. Off his podcast and stuff. But I remember talking to him, and I was like, my God, you're doing amazing, and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, oh yeah. And he opened an app on his phone I've never seen in my life that showed like live time charts of people listening and how much money he was piling up from his Patreon like that day. And I was just like, holy fuck. And he put it away. It was as if, who's the guy from Quantum Leap? Like Hal, like the guy that would just show up and hit his thing and it would squawk. Like he pulled out one of those, like just pulled out some, like a phaser and was like, oh, you don't have one of these?
Oh yeah, also, no. Like, why do you have to like follow a compliment up with like confirmation of?
No, he didn't. I was just curious. I was like, how do you keep track of all that stuff? And he's like, with this. And it was something I've never seen before or since. I don't know if it was created for him. You know, it just I was fascinated by it. It's just
Wow.
like, but I do try to do the research and learn by watching. But that's just I I don't want to say doomed to fail, but it's just like I know what I'm good at and what I'm not good at. Put it that way. You know?
Yeah, yeah.
But like you created Valley Heat. For people that don't know, Valley Heat is basically a fake podcast. It's a guy living in the Burbank equestrian area, which you actually do live
Yeah.
in, and it's a fascinating place actually. Like no bullshit. He basically is he runs ads for fake businesses. They're real to him in his world, and then he records conversations with people in his neighborhood, and those people are voiced by like myself, Michael Connell, Beth Stelling, Billy Wayne Davis.
You're so funny on it, man.
Matt Dwyer. Oh, dude, it's a joy. It's a joy. I mean, when you had me on to just play a completely self-absorbed asshole, like if I get that, if someone's like, "Oh yeah, no, he's a piece of shit," I'm like, "Oh, like it feels so good." I love it. I just love being such a jerk. I will get to something here, but like I love that you gave me the line because at one point I will just say I get arrested. And I'm saying to your character, Doug, I'm like, Doug, call my lawyer. And you're like, I'm not going to call your lawyer. I'm like, Doug, just call my lawyer. And they're like, get in the car, sir. Like they've read me my rights. And I'm like, don't I get to tell someone to call my lawyer?
Yeah, you go, I know I get to tell someone to call my lawyer.
I love that he thinks that's his right. That he can just grab, hey,
You can ask anyone. Yeah.
what's your name? Dave, call my lawyer. Like I thankfully have never had to do that thing where I'm arrested and I'm under suspicion. I have to call my lawyer and explain the hassle of talking to a lawyer over the phone and
Oh
through all
my
the
God, it
details.
has to be a specific type of lawyer.
You
Takes
can't
a call.
forget a thing. You can't be
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, there was blood on my shoe. What the fuck? You never said it in the phone call. You know. So anyway, like, how did you come up with it, and like where it came about during the pandemic, right?
It did. I came up with it because really I didn't know what it was when I first started making it. I just wanted to make something where I wasn't answerable to anybody and just what would make me laugh. And most of the things on the show are, I mean, they're loosely based in reality. You know, at least the major things are, they're not, it's like, what if I just took this thought and just tweaked it a little bit? Like there really was someone coming to my house and my neighbor told me that someone was pulling up to my garbage and just opening it and grabbing an item out of the garbage and then just driving away. And I said, it's got to be like a drug drop. And he was like, what? Like he was like, I mean, it was like, I was definitely wrong, but I thought, no, I think it has to be deliberate.
Sure.
And then I thought about it. I thought, no, I'm sure he's right. But then I just started talking about it. And I do have a pool guy who washed his truck. He didn't wash it in my driveway. He washed it on the curb. I walked out. I heard my water running and I walked out and there's a hose running I've got a hedge and I followed a hose. Like, and I walk out and just a big white truck and he's just hosing it down. And it was almost like we both were really sad that we were in the same space at that moment, because he was like, "It's nothing I can do," and I didn't want to catch him. I just didn't know what was going on, and he's just like, "Hey," I go, "Hey, I'll see you later."
Yeah, I mean, it's just you're both like, I wish you hadn't have caught me doing this, and you're like, I wish I wouldn't have caught you.
I didn't do anything. That's a funny thing about it. So I didn't do anything.
I wouldn't have either. I'd be like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Just so I don't have to argue with you, let's pretend I said you could do that shit. Cool,
Yeah.
see ya. I'll be inside.
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna go eat a bowl of cereal and with my back to the window. Okay, because I don't want to deal. I don't want to deal with this shit. I don't want to be like, hey man, like it's the worst.
Well, what am I? Is it going to be another? I mean, anyone who does anything, including me, it just doesn't. You're okay at it. Well, and after you do it for a while, you do it less of it, and then.
But you did the secret to comedy, which is like explore and amplify. One of the keys where all this guy did was wash his truck in front of your house and used your water. And that's not okay, generally speaking.
It's
But
not a problem, but it is weird.
on your, it's weird, but on your podcast, he's played by Billy Wayne Davis. Him and his wife are constantly coming over and swimming in your pool and being like, "We're cleaning it," and they're not.
Yeah.
And they're blaring music. Beth's character keeps giving you her baby. Keeps going, "I can't handle this. Just hold the baby." Like about her, like I can't. I'm gonna take a shower, and then she takes a shower for like 2 hours or something.
Yeah.
Like it's so much water use in California, a drought state.
Yeah, she
It's
like
just-
doubled my water bill.
and, and she always plays Jess's Girl like on repeat. And she's in there. So that's you're hearing it in your house, and Billy listens to Boston all the time.
And he listens to 38 Special.
38 Special, just a twofer, such a perfect twofer of 80s whatever, you know, and 70s music. And like I love the minutia of Doug just talking about it as it's playing. Like you're talking about Boston, you're like, how many guitars is that?
There really is. Have you listened to that
guitars
song?
playing at once?
Have you listened to that song?
No, dude.
There are 2 guitar solos in that song.
That's literally. I
I didn't even realize there were 2 guitar solos when I was talking about it. And listen, I was like, this is a second guitar solo.
Everyone has had that thought. Everyone has listened to Boston and just heard Boston and been like, "Fuck, guys, can you stop? Can you stop just twirling your dicks around on stage?"
Do you remember
Like,
that though?
you're
When like
okay.
you would watch videos and it would be like, how many guys are in this band? Like 3 of them have guitars. You almost feel like they're gonna cut to a drummer and he's gonna be drumming, but he's got a guitar.
Yeah. Did you ever see Bob Roberts? That Tim Robbins fake doc about like a Reagan type dude who acted like a folk singer.
He like co-ops Bob Dylan's.
But it's all about, you know, buying a fancy car and shit. But like Jack, it's like I think it's Jack Black's like first movie role, and it's him. They started a Bob Roberts band, and they play his songs, and they're all like, "We love you. We're your biggest fans." And there's 4 of them, like 4 like white teenage boys. "We love you so much." He's like, "Oh, you're in a band. You play my songs." They're like, "Yeah." He's like, "Well, what instruments do you guys all play?" And at the same time, they all go, "Guitar." Like all 4 of them. I thought that was such a funny piece of writing. Like, of course, when you're a teenager, no one's gonna be like, "Oh, you be the bass." Fuck you, Chris. You be the bass. I'm not gonna.
It's funny that no one wants to play bass because bass is fun.
Oh well, bass is the biggest cock. Let's be honest. Look, I don't want to sit here and be phallic, but like, fucking Phil Lynott and Thin Lizzy. That guy had a hog. Are you kidding me? That guy in the middle of the stage singing giant bass.
Yeah, so the singer was also the bass player.
Yes.
In Lizzy.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I didn't know that.
love
I didn't. The problem is you never know the bass player's name.
Of course.
It's like know Geddy Lee because he sings too. And is
sure. Well, I mean, Thin Lizzy is basically Phil Lynott and the boys. You know, it's just like him and a couple long-haired white dudes.
Man,
Great.
It's amazing how many guys during that era were named like Phil, Steve, and Jason. Just not. I mean, Geddy Lee. That's a great rock star name, but
it is.
I mean, yeah. There's
absolutely.
a lot of Steves.
So,
which is a fine name. It just doesn't sound like.
I think there were too many rockin' Steves out there. Just way too many rockin' Steves. Dude, speaking of rocking, I just have to bring this up because I have to tell someone. I am in the most masculine hotel I've ever been in my life.
Oh, what hotel is it?
It's in Milwaukee. It's called the Iron Horse Hotel. There's motorcycles everywhere. Polished, shiny motorcycles. This whole place smells like a brand new pair of Red Wing boots. Like,
wow.
There's leather. There's a bench behind me that's covered in the hide of a rough-haired animal, possibly from like the Sahara or something.
Yeah. Is that just the theme?
No, it's all dark browns and blacks, and the restaurant here is called Ash because everything's grilled. It's just like Jesus.
Does every city have a restaurant that has the word ash in it?
It has to.
It means okay, I get it. The entrees are at least $18.
It's of course probably $56.
Yeah,
big piece of prime steak. There's like the lovely people work here and stuff, and everyone's been nice. But like when I checked in, the lady was like, "Would you like a welcome cocktail?" And she just gave the lady ahead of me It's like the size of a Slurpee. It's like a mega martini glass with
They
no
butter you
stem.
up. Yeah.
Oh, and I'm just like, no, I have some shit to do. Like if I would have
Yeah.
drank that and then did this, I'd probably be like this right now, just like,
Oh, it'd
you know
ruin your
what?
whole day. And yeah, sometimes you feel like you have to drink it anyway.
Do like a
Yeah.
sugary glass of headache for
Oh,
later.
it would ruin tomorrow too.
Yeah. And now, I mean, I forget how much they drink in the Midwest, and I'm
Yeah.
all about it, but like they go far beyond, like where in my in-room fridge, there's bottles of. I was like, oh, nice, some mineral water, and I see a big circle on the side that says 6.8%. Like what? Just like some
The mineral
alcoholic
water.
mineral. Like good thing I saw that.
Yeah.
I just did a fucking hokey ass hotel room workout online. I'm just like, oh, so sweaty. Oops. And you use your wife on the show too.
Yeah,
As your
she plays
actual
my wife. Yeah, and like it's there's just things that are basically they're just like small issues that are somewhat real usually.
Mhm.
The show's really just about like boundaries and how he lets people trample on his boundaries, and when he
Right.
does that, he's trampling on other people's.
Of course.
So I am indulging one person at her expense, and she, it's just like my favorite scene is when she gets out of the car. She gets out of the car on the freeway.
Freeway.
she's such a great actress. She's so funny,
Mhm.
and
Yeah,
Yeah.
Emily Maya Mills, by the way, folks.
and my son's on it too. My son plays my son.
He actually does?
Plays
Oh, I
Phil,
wanted to
yeah.
ask that. Nice. Yeah. Oh, he's so funny because he's just your son plays it so matter of fact.
I'll tell him you said that. He wants to. That's what he wants to do. He loves.
Oh, is that
comedy.
right?
He loves acting, and
I'm sorry.
yeah,
I mean-
I know. It's like, well, I guess you'll find out soon enough.
I mean, what are you gonna do, man? It's like you can't do that. Route where you're like, no son of mine. It's like, well,
Right. But it's also like I don't know. I'm glad my dad wasn't in comedy. I don't know if it would have been very fun. My dad's really funny, but if he had been a comedian, I don't know. I don't know if I would have done something else. Maybe.
my
Maybe I
parents are
wouldn't
both
have.
teachers, so they would like get in front of people and stuff. And my mom has like, she was like, oh, I wanted to be, a performer when I was younger and stuff. And I feel like she lives vicariously through me, and she kind of holds court anyway. Like,
Yeah.
in some settings, so
Yeah,
she's
that
like-
makes sense to me. Like, do you get nervous performing? I mean, you certainly
For them?
don't seem like it.
Yeah, I don't love performing for them.
Oh no, I mean in general, in life.
Sure, of course,
Yeah.
of course. Yeah, it's kind of I actually have in this special I just taped. It ends with where I'm talking about one of the worst guys I've ever met, and we were at a resort with my wife and I, and they took us out on this cruise boat to see the sunset and gave us like rum runners, and everyone's getting all lit up. And this guy obviously started out early, and he's just cock of the walk, strutting around. And his thing was he would go up to people and be like, "So what do you do for a living?" And no matter what you'd say, he'd go, "All right."
That was like, well, it wasn't a routine, or that was his.
No, it wasn't. I
In
mean,
earnest.
it was, he was just like shitty. He was just kind of
Wow.
a shitty. He was, like the, hey, I neg people. People love it. It's like, dude,
Yeah.
no one loves it. And like, I'm like, don't come over to me. I don't even know what I do, And he said, so what do you do? I said, a comedian. And he was like, good luck with that. But that's how I feel. Like he nailed it.
Yeah.
Literally every time they introduce me, they say my name. In my mind, I'm like, good luck with this shit. See how
Yeah.
this goes. You
Yeah.
dummy. But you jump.
Yeah. I get
feel like-
nervous. Yeah, I get nervous. Always since I was a kid, always
Sure.
get very nervous, and
Oh,
would even be thankful when I went to see plays in school that I wasn't in this.
I still-
was like, oh, I'm so glad I'm not doing this.
I
And I left, and I did it nonstop.
Yeah, no, dude, same. I remember in college I would say yes to being in anyone's shit, and I remember being in terrible senior projects, terrible plays. And I remember waiting in the wings to go out, and I barely knew my lines, and I was just shitting my pants. I was so scared, and I remember thinking, I clearly remember this moment going, why the fuck are you doing this?
I know.
You don't know
Always.
why. What are you
Always.
doing right now?
Yeah.
it was almost like those moments of clarity that addicts have. Where they're like, someone stole my pants in this crack house. What the fuck am I doing with my life? You know, like it was this moment of I didn't have an answer for myself.
Yeah,
because I should have just said no. You can say no. You don't have to be in this guy's shitty play that he's in every fucking scene. Yeah, you don't have to do this. There's no.
But that's what I like doing the podcast, because my fear whenever I'm doing anything in front of actual people is I'm just afraid I'm going to forget what I was supposed to say. Like when I go, where did you said you're in Milwaukee, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think it's there anymore. The Comedy Cafe.
Oh yeah. Sure, yeah.
Man, is this
still
there?
Did he take his gun out? Did he take his gun out and show it to you on his desk?
No, it was after, I believe it was after that guy. Okay. It was a different guy. And I loved that place so much. But I remember I was in a hotel right there where you are, and I would just stand in the middle of the hotel and for the entire day go through my set over because it's almost like OCD or something where
I get it.
I am gonna not know, because I don't know, it's different when you're just doing small shows, but then with someone asks you to go out with them and feature, and you're like, I don't want to mess up a big audience, and
right,
I would drive myself nuts,
No, I mean, I loved guys I would take on the road that couldn't give a shit how it went. Like, I thought that was so fascinating.
I think
and some of them would push it. This guy Sean Cole, who I think he lives in Florida and he has kids and he's still funny and but he was that guy we always, when he came to open mic, we're like, fucking Sean's on, because he always tried something insane that 7 people would like. I remember he was in packed house at the Improv out in Schaumburg outside of Chicago, and big room, at least was at the time, and he's he's just, everything he's saying is just falling flat, and then he just does the thing. He's like a few of my hobbies, I like to go to the zoo and pointy cowboy boots and kick gorillas in their assholes, and that got a laugh. That got a big laugh where people this is so absurd. Okay, this guy's nuts. I get it. I'm locked in. And then he fucked it by going, but then one of the ape's assholes dilated and formed the face of Christ. Icy silence. And I'm in the back of the room like, Sean! But
he just didn't approve.
Did not care. I'm just going to try stuff and I hope you like it. But it's I could never, I have to have some connection. I can't just go, here's some, I hope these are pearls I'm throwing in your face right now. I hope you're enjoying this. I can't.
I know. Yeah. Some people, I mean, maybe they do care and they're not letting on, but I'm always fascinated when people don't really worry about it. I'm like, God, even before shows when people are talking to me, I'm like, why are we even having this conversation? I'm upset right now.
I should go.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm going to, one more question and we'll go to the calls, but do you write down all the stuff you're going to do on the podcast? Like when Doug is talking?
No.
Or you just record and kind of just riff?
Yeah. I don't. It's the same really with the scenes. I'll maybe write a few lines that I want to get down, but I think that the show feels better without that. I think if you have specific words or that you want to say, and I'm not going to think of anything. I mean, you hope for mistakes and stuff that you can build off of, because some of the funniest stuff has come off of that, and some of those things you can't really, or at least I can't really write. I have to have them kind of happen on accident or think of it in the moment,
Yeah, no, it does. I'd be very surprised if you were like, I write it all down, because A, that would take so long, and B, I don't think it wouldn't feel as real, because it does.
Yeah, like if I gave people scripts to read or something, it would.
Yeah.
It would just feel different,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I liked working with you, recording with you, where we'd get you here's the basic gist. Yeah. And then we would get on the thing and you'd press record and go, all right, let's try, we're talking blah, blah, blah. And you pause it and go, all right, now go back. Try that.
Dude. And at one point it sounded like you said Liz on accident. I don't know what you said, but it sounded like you just went Liz. And then we just built, the scene really became about how you were passing out and asking for someone named Liz.
Liz, right? Yeah. For those of you wondering, I refuse to leave what is certainly a poisonous fish alone in an aquarium in his son's room, and it bit me or stung me, and I'm passing out, and I'm just like, just get Liz, get Liz, and you're like, I don't know who Liz is.
I don't. You just you were talking and you said Liz, and it just sounded like you said, I don't know. But I think whenever stuff like that happens, it's so funny. Like with that scene, it was like we just knew you were gonna get bit by a fish. Really, that was it.
Well, it's awful. But if someone like falls and hits their head really hard and they get up and I'm sorry, and they try to walk it off right away. Yeah. You're like, dude, sit down. And they're trying to act like nothing happened, and they're just like, listen, we are all here at the convention of engineers. Like, no one's at a convention. What the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, they did not acknowledge that.
Exactly.
To watch.
We're at Macy's. This isn't convention. Just like he's obviously like his brain was jarred, but it's still just trying to talk through it. And that's
you're like, no, I'm fine.
I'm fine.
The way you did it was so funny.
The way you had me like the guy laughed. People do that when they injure themselves and try to laugh about it as if the injury will just disappear. Fucking so good. It's If Mighties, for those of you listening, like seriously listen to Valley Heat. Okay, so on the show, I never listen to what calls there are. You know, Renee listens to them and he picks them out. So you ready to listen?
Yeah.
We got 3 calls. Okay, let's roll the first one.
Hey, my name's Lars, and I'm looking for some advice on how to deal with a parent who's convinced that they were abducted and experimented on by aliens and that it's forever changed the course of their life. If this is something that you have experience with, perhaps in how to deal with them when you upset them by not remembering these important stories that they've told you previously, I could appreciate a hand. Thanks.
Well, it's really 2 issues.
You go ahead. You take the first.
Well, I mean, it sounds like the real issue is that they want you to remember all their stories. Accepting that they were abducted by an alien seems like, I don't know. Is it hard to accept that? Just say, I mean, couldn't you just say, I'm sorry that happened, or I don't know how, you know.
To me, Lars, if you're really dealing with this and this is a real thing, you're not fucking with us. I'm sorry. But it really struck me funny. Not the obvious shit. Not the thing of like, oh, your dad thinks he got abducted by aliens or something like that. The funny part to me was that he's passive aggressive that you don't remember the details of him getting him. It's
really another level.
That's really like. Hey, Dad, have you seen my have you seen my shoes for soccer? I don't know. Have you seen my ruined asshole? You know what they
tell you that I can't see shoes anymore?
Dad, I don't want to get into this. I didn't want them to get into me. Dad, just everything is that.
Yeah. And why? I don't know if I could forget the details of someone. Like if you, Matt, told me you were abducted by an alien and you told me all the things that happened to you, I feel like, I'd remember most of them.
Fair. But what if I kept fucking up the details? What if I kept
you yourself were fucking it up, and then I'm supposed to keep track of it?
I'm pitching that, and I keep going, why'd you forget that they ran me over with a dune buggy? And you're like, last time it was a F-150, dude. Like what? I mean, stop. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. Which was it? Let me just write. I guess what you'd do is here's my answer. Is what you would do is you would get a notebook and you'd say, let's say if it's his dad,
it's a lot of
you
work.
Say dad's alien abduction story, and then every time he tells you something, you make notes. You accept that he was abducted by aliens. I mean,
but then
he was. I think you have to accept that he was. Yeah.
Then this sensitive fuck finds it and is like, "Oh, you got to write it all down? You
really can't win with this guy."
Dad,
You're just like,
there's so much shit. And my question is this, Dad, how did it happen 73 times? How is there that much time in your life?
Yeah.
They kept picking you up.
Wait, here's something you can do. What you do is you start realizing that you too were abducted by an alien. And now you have to require them to remember your stories. And then you guys can go back and forth forever.
So I forget who had that joke. I think it was like a 80s comic or something. It was just like how it's a guy who's been hit by lightning like 5 times, and it's just like at a certain point you got to ask what is wrong with you and what you're doing wrong, like something
I
like
mean,
that. Where
at
it's just,
that point, I feel like you're like, what is right with me?
again? Why, how do you keep getting shot from the heavens by the spear of Zeus? Like,
But how would you feel about it? Let's say, Matt, okay, you get hit by lightning.
yeah,
Just let's say a third time. How would you feel about it?
I would be horrified.
Would you?
The fuck did I do, man?
I mean, that's pretty special.
Is
It's
it?
amazing.
Your God's favorite kickball? I don't
Well,
understand.
what's
what
it
you mean
feel
special.
like? Well, I feel like he's saying something. I mean, like,
Look
so
at-
what does it feel like when you're electrocuted? What do you think it feels
You know
like?
it hurt. It hurts real bad supposedly, and the electricity has to leave
The
through
most
orifice.
we know is that it hurts real
It has
bad.
to leave. It literally leaves through your butthole and your mouth. So you're
What?
not only like, yeah,
Wait,
dude.
Who
No.
who
That's-
described it like that? That
That's
it leaves-
true. No, that's what like. Kyle and I saw it on a documentary and laughed for
Okay.
about 3 days. We
So
lived
it goes through your. Well, I mean, how did they say that? Like, where's
It exits through your orifices.
orifices? So it's also there's others. There's a
Mhm.
urethra. It
There's
exits
a
through
nose.
your
Yeah,
urethra.
there's ears. An
There's
eye might
ears,
pop
there's
out if you're
nose.
unlucky.
Okay,
The thing is, the
so
sick
it
thing is,
enters.
if you shit out lightning, you're lucky. I think.
I mean, if it's exiting through your butthole, I mean, I feel like it's gonna be a little exhilarating.
I mean, I would feel like a superhero.
I mean, kinda. I mean, so I don't know. If I was hit by lightning, I guess I don't know how terrifying it is. But if it happened even a second time,
yeah.
I don't know if I would feel like the butt of the universe's joke, or I would feel like kind of special.
I don't know where you get special. I really don't. I would just feel like maybe it's because I'm always like, oh God, like I've done something. It's that Catholic guilt, weighing
Yeah.
down, where you're just like, I've done something wrong. I shouldn't
Yeah.
have had that second cupcake. Lightning.
Yeah. Oh, so you
Lightning
think
in the
it would be punishment? I mean,
Yeah.
is there really a
That's
guy
it.
who's been hit 5 times?
Something like that.
I mean, that guy lives in like lightning on lightning.
Oh, and
mountain.
it's the odds. It's like one of those things where like a million monkeys on a million typewriters, and one would produce the works of Shakespeare.
That's
something
just
like
not that's not true though. Why do they say that?
No, it isn't true. It isn't true. But I would like, let's say a guy hits 5 scratch tickets at once, kind of thing.
Okay.
It would never happen, but it could. Like big Powerball number, something like that.
Oh yeah, I won the lot. I don't play the lottery, but when I was a waiter in Boston, I played because a guy bought me a ticket, the bartender, and I
Whoa.
won. And then I bought another one with the winnings, and I won 3 times that week. I won like $2,000, which is like $1 million when you're in college.
Oh yeah, that's insane.
It was.
That's
It
insane.
was. I couldn't believe it.
Fuck. Well, okay, Lars. There's really nothing to compare it to if you're being sincere. I don't have any good advice in terms of how tell your dad to talk to a specialist and stop bothering you with it, I think, and
Or-
get on with your
yeah.
lives.
Or just
That's all I
embrace it, and ask him
Yeah.
questions. I mean,
Or-
maybe he was. It's definitely more interesting if he really was. I don't know.
100%.
Yeah.
And look at it from Christian's perspective. Your dad should feel chosen and special. So there you go.
Absolutely, and that's really
know.
what it's about. I think he wants
Yeah.
you to know.
Oh yeah. If he's giving you shit about like you don't know what they did to me, be like, why didn't they choose me, Dad? What's wrong with me?
Oh yeah.
He's like, huh? And then when he stops, like I never thought of it that way. You get on a bus and go to the movies or something. Right then.
He can't, not his car. He has to get on a bus.
You got to get in a bus full of people so he can't run up and hit you or something. Okay. Let's do caller number 2.
Hey, Matt. This is Lauren from Southern Maryland. Super excited for December 11th when you'll be in Baltimore. I already got my tickets
Woo!
to the show.
Thank you, Lauren.
I hate my job. The work is okay. The people I work with can be real jerks sometimes, and the hours are horrible. I know you used to be a shovel fighter, so I know you feel the pain that I'm going through. And my question is, have you ever let your wife peg you? And if so, do you have any advice for helping me get my husband to let me do it to him? Thanks, and cannot wait to see you in December. Bye.
Man,
Was that a switcheroo?
oh, that was a wonderful one, Lauren. I'm gonna buy you a beer. I'm gonna have them send you a drink. Like, I might get on stage and be like, "Where's Lauren?" Before
I
I
mean,
get
she
going.
really lured me in with that first part of the question.
Yeah, I thought it was real. I thought I'd have to give real. Fucking a. We're batting for 1,000 right now, dude. I mean,
Wow.
this is great. This is a great show.
So-
I usually get some heavy ones. Have I ever let my wife have at it up my butt with a strap on?
Okay, I'm assuming. I
Pegging.
guess I am. Is that what pegging is with the strap
Yeah.
on? Okay.
Yeah, and it's like
It's a good name.
it is. It's perfect. It's perfect. I think it's from the term peg boy, from the old. I don't believe this is true, but supposedly young boys used to hang around the shipyards, sitting on a peg to keep their buttholes open and fresh, so that they would come on the.
We're
on the
gonna
boat.
we're gonna need more research.
That's the punk band Peg Boy is named after.
Okay, I feel like they made up that story so they could have a
100%.
name.
It's like the whole thing of gays pulling off gerbils' legs and shoving them up their ass. It's just like no one ever fucking did that.
It's
Shut up.
like the Spanish Fly type of.
Yes, right. But
Why do you have to go so blue? Why did Lauren go so blue?
Because just to fuck with me, and because she's a dirty gal from Baltimore.
Okay.
I think not even I think. No, I've never been pegged. I have I actually have a bit in my special. We'll see if it makes the cut or not, but of this time she stuck a finger in there and I flipped out because I'm a real bitch in that regard. But it's a bit that I've done that people have seen me do on the road, so I can talk about it. But like, it's just never been my thing, you know. It's just like, I never wanted it. So even if she was like, I really want to shove one up your bung, I would be probably not into it. But that's just me, and that's my limitation sexually, one of them. So I don't know, I'm pretty fucking vanilla. So to answer your question, even though it's none of your biz, your switcheroo was so good, I will tell you. No, it's never
It
happened.
was. It's just like the "this might help Baba Booey" thing that people do. They call in and then they're
100%.
like, "Hey," they ask you really intimate, weird questions.
Yes.
All of a sudden,
Yes. So I did not see that one coming, but that was very funny. And I guess that one's just for me. So unless you want to add the sordid details of your sex life with your wife, whether or not
I feel like not really, but
fair.
I feel like you have to find her at the show though, because I feel like you should wear
I have
something.
to find her and let her peg me. You're
Just
right.
ask if Lauren is in the audience.
Oh, 100% I'm going to find her. Yes.
yeah. How
Without-
many shows are you doing in
2 is this place called the Autobar. We added an earlier show, which I'm actually psyched about. I did an afternoon show in Berkeley that was fantastic. It was so cool to do a full show. Thank you, good night, and walk outside with my friends, and it was like sunny. I was like, holy shit.
That's great. I always
is the
think it's
joy.
hard to do that stuff in the daytime, but
But here's the irony. We got a phone call from my rep got a phone call from the venue and was like, they got this big band that night they double booked you with, and they're so sorry. And this was months before, but would you be cool with doing a matinee show? And I'm like, I don't love it, but let's see how the ticket holders feel. And everyone was just like, cool. That's fine with me. It was a Sunday.
yeah.
And so they were like, I guess maybe a matinee on a Sunday is maybe better, you know, in some regards. And then we got there, and I'm like, what time does that second show start? And they're like, oh, that whole band got COVID. They're not coming. I'm like, great. So I could have like
The whole band.
the whole band just tongue kissed each other's buttholes.
Wow.
And God, yeah. COVID, no. Yeah, but at that point I was like, I don't care. I'm not going to stomp my feet and bitch. These things happen. I hope that band is okay. Whatever they
Yeah.
do. Okay.
What band was it?
The Black Crows.
You
I don't
two.
know. I have no idea. It was
You know, I saw U2 open for Jay Giles. That's how old I am. And I remember
what a
wasn't
weird
there-
bill.
I wasn't there
What
to
a-
see U2. I thought it was a terrible name for a band. And I mean, you know, one band lasted a lot longer than the other.
Oh, well, I don't understand. What a strange.
Well, it was like, I mean, I guess when you two back then,
Yep.
it must have been like, who do we put these guys with? There
Oh,
wasn't
sure.
you two,
They were,
like,
they were like
yeah.
they were like a kind of a rockin' bar band probably for a time before they played arenas.
I don't
Jay
even remember
Giles
the
was-
concert. I was just like, when is when's Peter Wolf going to be up there?
Yeah, like ridiculous.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. Okay, we got one more, and
Okay.
it's written in. So this is a sincere one. How do you motivate yourself to do anything when you just want to do absolutely nothing? That's a big one.
So they just emailed. This is the last one's an email.
Well, this one I will do because some people don't want to leave their voices out there. So I will write on Instagram stories. Do you guys have any question? And I'll see if anyone has, something. Sometimes it's just, there's one guy. He didn't this time, but he usually writes, "Who's the most famous person you ever smoked weed with?" He's written that in for like 15 guests. So I'm glad he took a week off.
Man, do
But
you
yeah.
always answer it? You should always answer it.
Not,
A new one
not
every
always.
time.
I probably should, but I mean, people usually have a really funny answer for that.
Yeah.
But yeah. What do you do when you're just like? Because you also have two
Kids.
teenagers.
Yeah.
Right. Your kids are both teenagers. Yeah.
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 They're both 17. They're twins, boy and girl. And
Oh, wow.
so I think that the best thing to do is to set a day aside where you actually don't do anything, so that you're not upset when you have to do stuff. And if
That's
it's
right
a job if their job is so bad, that maybe you just hate your job.
Well, I think it's not only just your job. I mean, if I have something to work on that I have to write or something, there are times where I'm just like, it's that thing. I feel like a toddler throwing a tantrum. Like I just don't want to work on this right now.
Yeah.
And I think the way I get over that is I just start working on it and force my own face into the pile of shit that I left, like you do a dog, and just and throw this out or do whatever you do. You really just dig in, because I think once you start flowing, then you're like, oh, okay, now the wheels are greased, and then we're rolling a little bit,
Yeah.
And it's just like, I'll throw it right back to you, but it just give yourself like, look, I'm just gonna do this shit for 10 fucking minutes right now, even though it's the last thing I want to do in the world. That's kind of so I end up doing a little bit longer typically.
Yeah.
But
Is it
sometimes
usually
I
with
barely
writing?
make the end of the 10, and I'm like, So go ahead.
I guess it depends on what you have to do. You feel like you have to do. Like you're talking about writing, and I will, and the same thing with editing for this podcast. I will switch the editing program. I'll use an editing program that I don't know, or if I'm writing, I'll write on a typewriter, or I'll write on a piece of paper that already has writing on it. And so you have to write I'll do something so that I occupy my mind with a more menial strategy that I have to worry about. So I'm not worrying about the content as much, because I think that's where I get stuck, is if I start worrying that I'm doing something wrong or writing something stupid. But if I'm trying to learn a program or something, or I'm trying to write, or I'll write on my phone, which is, it's small, like some kind of weird limitation will sometimes make it a little more fun. So I'm not really worried. So it's like, it's more like solving a puzzle or doing a crossword than it is trying to do a creative, trying to make something really good creatively.
Yeah. And I would add, you made a really good point about maybe it's not something creative or something that's even fun or something you just have to get done. I think a lot of that is kind of look ahead to whatever your reward is. Be like, okay, but later on I'm going to watch Narcos episode 3, season 3 or whatever, kind of thing, or eat a hot fudge sundae, or whatever it is, or like a lot of people do and are probably right now working a job they hate, listening to a podcast they like. it takes your mind off the menialness, you know. So
Yeah.
that's one way too. It's just it just comes down to get through it and get it done.
Hey, do you listen to audiobooks?
I don't. I like them. I typically listen to more podcasts. I don't know. I really like to read. I'm not sitting here going like I'm one of those real readers, Chris. I don't fuck off and put in my ears like a person. No, I've always been like a reading addict. Like I always have to have a book. I had to do not deep breathing exercises, but like when I was just in Boston with my wife, and I just had this Kindle that keeps like it takes all the power I give it and throws it right out the window. Like I'll be like, I just fucking charged you, and it just has this big exclamation mark on it. I'm like,
oh man,
what?
Yeah.
I read 3 pages.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, why don't I just not kick in the hotel TV in front of my wife and baby? You know, it's just like it's a loss. So
do you read fast? Are you a fast reader?
Sometimes I have to go back and read stuff again because I zone
Wish
out.
I
I don't remember 5 of those 10 pages I just read. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. For sure. But anyway,
slow reader, man.
Do you listen to books on tape though?
I do. I mean, only if it's a good someone who like really is good at. Some of them are so bad just because the narrator is terrible. You know.
You know what? This never occurred to me, but I mean, you know how anyone can, and that's a bit that Matt Dwyer's character is. He the optometrist? No.
Matt is he's Leon Driscoll, the therapist who has an ebook that he claims is a published book.
And it's a great back and forth where you're just like, but it's not published. No, it is, but you published it. So it just occurred to me, people self-publish on Amazon, like anyone can do it. You can pretty much put anything on there and call it a book. There have to be audiobooks, right? There have to be people that are like, honey, look, can you keep it down?
I'm doing my own audiobook.
I have to do my audiobook.
I'm sorry, I'm moving. I think I've taken my wife's workstation.
That's
here,
all right.
and
We're minutes away from finishing.
But this is kind of a cool look.
Look at that. Look at you.
We're almost done.
The idea of someone that's just like, honey, can you just stop clanking those dishes you're drying? I know it was my turn, but please just stop. All right.
Wait, when she did this, she set off a little massager. Oh, it turned off.
I can't even hear it. This is you're adding of this amazing Doug style shit. You can't help it. Anyway, I just want to hear someone their self-recorded book where it's just he's yelling at his wife, and then it's just like she finally says fine and stops washing dishes.
Oh, I love that idea. So you do a book, and the book also. Oh, this is great because you're reading a book, but then the real show is the stuff happening between the thing.
100%.
Oh my God, I love that.
We're giving away gold here.
This is so good.
Do it. So it's
oh my God, I love that idea.
He's a house husband, and it's a book about a jungle explorer, like a thing that doesn't exist and been done to death. Like it's not a thing that existed where it was like white men wrote these stories about hold on, fuck, sorry. See, now my wife's calling me. About exploring the jungle deep and shit like that. And it's just like this isn't all that is charted area. Like what are you talking about? So,
oh my God, I love that.
So we have to do that.
Yeah, okay, let's do it.
Let's do it. Dude, thank you so much for coming on here. This was so much fun.
Dude, this was great. Thanks for having me.
Is there anything you want to plug besides Valley Heat or?
Just Valley Heat. You know, I hope people will check it out. It's something I love making, and I'd love more people to hear it.
It's so good. Guys,
thanks.
You have to check out Chris and Valley Heat. Dude, thanks so much for coming on.
Thanks, man. Take it easy, man.
Thanks so much for listening. As always, if you need advice or you just want to call and ask a question, do it. Call 323-763-0228. Again, 323-763-0228. And thank you. This Might Help with Matt Braunger was created and hosted by me, Matt Braunger. Produced by Outer Circle Media. Executive producers Matt Kleinschmidt and Robert Kelly for the Laugh Button Podcasts.